I'm continuing my ongoing story about my experiences with myself and applying myself in my family in the context of the um, generally but not but not extreme. I mean, it is extreme. The the um, the noun that I'm describing right now is abuse, and it is, I would say, extreme. No, it's because it's not extreme abuse relatively. It's fucked up beyond comprehension, but it's not extreme relatively. So the incredibly abusive, but not so abusive that I am unable to integrate myself into that environment and then apply myself in the best interests of everyone. So that's what I've been doing, and in my last several videos, I've brought up a problem, which is that I go to these family things with my mother and her parents, my grandparents and me, and there's conflict between me and my mom, conflict between her and her mom, my grandmother, and then conflict between um, my grandfather and his wife, my grandmother, and so it's just all this. And so I've described kind of, I think, I don't really remember just how messed up that is, but you get the basic idea. And so tonight I saw my mom again for the first time in a while, and oh, I didn't make a vlog about the last experience that I had, which is required to be described, indicated. Some points need to be brought out of that so that I can continue with the main point that I'm making this vlog about. Those points are that the last time I went there with my mom, a lot of conflict points came up, and I wanted to talk to my mom about them, but my mom was just like, "No, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm taking you um, to your dad's house because I live with my dad, not my mom. She and I live separately." And um, and then I was like, this is really not okay. I'm not okay with you not um, being willing to like discuss these problems with me, and until you agree to discuss it with me, I'm not going to go back to the grandparents' house again with you. And so that really kind of like cut off interaction between me and my mom for a while. And I saw her again tonight, and I was with her, and we were interacting, and um, it was convenient for us to go and see the grandparents again. And even though I said I'm not going to go see them again with you, I saw again a potential, an opportunity for me to address this issue, and for me to be like, well, I said this earlier, so I'm going to continue saying that. That was actually ego, like being like, well, it wouldn't always be like that, but in the context of my experience, when I said that, if I was going to then like stand by it, I could see and feel that that would actually be blame towards my mother. And so, in spite of my words, I again offered to go to the grandparents' house with her, but I wasn't going to afterwards try and force her to discuss it with me and have a discussion about it. I was just going to go, and I was going to go for myself and allow her to be there with me and then address all three of them on my own, which is harder, but I'm not going to then become angry and blame my mom for it. So I faced the point, and I again told my mom why I was bringing this up again, And I told her that it was because if I was them, this is what I would want my grandson to do for me. If I was my grandparents, then I would want me to do this for myself. And also, and mainly because I can see that if I do what my entire family has been doing, and not to be like, I'm superior to them, but if I do what maybe that's in there, that superiority, but um, if I do what has been the norm in my life and I just allow this abuse and this to exist in the context of my familial orbit, in the context of my influence, then what am I doing but actually going home and using whatever I'm going to be doing at the house, even if it is work, then using that to distract myself because I don't want to see who I become in the context of this abusive environment, which is abusive towards others, abusive towards myself. So I faced the point, and actually my mom agreed to go with me, and I didn't expect that to happen. I expected her to refuse, and then I was gonna be pissed off about it, but she agreed, and we went there, and um, nothing really happened. I mean, no major conflict happened. And when conflict does come up between my grandparents, to digress a little bit, I experienced fear because I haven't actually written about this point, which I should do ideally. When conflict comes up between my grandparents, I go into a fear because to uh, to jump on the conflict will put them into an experience of such shame, and for reasons that I don't understand and am required to write about, I fear that shame similarly to how I fear putting my father in a position where he experiences a specific kind of like being ashamed and saddened to the core of your being. I've experienced that also with my father. So that's just, I'm basically done with this vlog, which is, the point was to express how I um, didn't go into defensiveness and ego and just um, pushed a point and have been consistently pushing this point, and how it's despite everything, despite all appearances, has um, miraculously pulled through at this point. I'll have to see how it. I'll have to continue applying myself to see how it develops and see what change is possible in this environment. And I need to change because I'm not as effective as I could be. Well, because I've also gone into like a like a feeling of like just feeling like so fulfilled and just totally I am divine, I am perfect, kind of like that, because I have like created an idea of being perfectly effective and being able to like being like a god over others and being able to come in and be like, well, I am able to fix everyone's savior syndrome. I'm able to fix everyone's problems, kind of a thing. So, but I am able to become more effective in that environment, and um, there is no reason not to. So that's I'm gonna continue applying myself, and it's kind of cool because this is a place in my life where um, whether or not I was able to sort it out didn't really have a bearing on what I was going to do with the next 10 years of my life. So this is just going to be um, me applying myself without um, ego being the starting point in the way that it's been for the majority of my life, where I want to become something, and that, like I mentioned earlier, that has come up. That desire to become has come up, but because it's not in the ingrained pattern, it's a bit easier to see when I'm doing that kind of like ascension, um, enlightenment type illusion. So that's all I have to say for this vlog.